Hello riders and racers. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we get enduro racers maintaining their race speed for 4+ hours without riding every day, without doing some sort of intense training program, and without following a crazy diet. So I will share some stories with you along the way. So, first of all, who is this process and system for? And more importantly, who is this not for? So, this is not for recreational riders. Okay, so if you don't do any racing, don't plan on doing any racing, you're not going to find this helpful. There's a reasonable amount of work involved. Riders that have no desire to get better. Again, there's a reasonable amount of work involved with seeing the improvements on the bike, getting race fit, dialing in all the areas that need to be able to be dialed in. If you've got no intention of getting better or wanting to improve and you just like the social aspect of riding, that's great, but this is not going to be for you. And then lastly, professional riders that can ride and train every day. If you can ride and train every day and get on the bike as much as you want and build race fitness and strength and stamina, all that sort of stuff on the bike, then you're probably not going to find this training too helpful. Who is this for? This is for enduro racers that want to get better on race day, okay, and you're not able to ride every day. So this is for racers that enjoy riding, but they enjoy getting better and making progress just as much, if not more, than actually riding the bike itself. This system works for guys that are racing Haddad Desert Race, AORC, Fink Desert Race, the 24-hour hard enduro, cross-country enduro, the list goes on. This system's worked for guys that are racing or doing a big event for the first time, all the way up towards the guys that are in the top 50 for some of these bigger races. So if that's you want to see improvement in your riding and racing, and you want to get better, then you should be in the right spot. So first of all, why do I help racers get race fit? So I've just got a couple of notes here that I want to share with you. So I've been helping riders get race fit since late 2014, early 2015 now. Okay, so coming up towards 10 years. So I raced mostly motocross for 14 years, with some enduro sprinkled in there as well. So I guess you'd class this as like a racing family. Everything revolved around racing. Going to parties and doing sleepovers when I was kids didn't happen for me. I quit playing cricket and football so I could just focus on racing. Nothing meant more to me than just performing on race day and wanting to do my best. We used to have a state round every year that was at a track called Collie here in Western Australia, and it was on Easter weekend. So Easter didn't really exist for me for quite a while. I used to race local events, state level races, and do the state series here in WA, and then we used to do the national titles as well, which most of the time were over East. So lots of driving, lots of time in the car. Race Suzuki's from 85s up, so I had a small wheel, big wheel, 2 125s, 2 250s, so I was very heavily yellow. We had money spent on the bike, getting the suspension set up, had new bikes most years, had one of the 250s, had the motor sent to Pro Circuit, did riding schools and camps with some of the best riding and racing coaches in Australia, and still couldn't put together a full race at race speed. Okay, all of that commitment, all of that effort, all of that time, and still could not put together a full race at race speed because I wasn't fit enough. And that's what we're going to go through today. Where I went wrong, the things I should have done, and how we help our riders now. So, there's the old way of doing things, which involves a lot of the stuff that I tried and did myself and tested and have seen not work as it should with other riders and races. And then there's the new way, which is the faster lap system, which I'm going to go through, and I'm going to explain this new way of doing things. So the old way, I used to do 5 years of club level swimming. I was of the mindset of like, all right, cool, I need endurance. Swimming's good at endurance. I was doing club level swimming with club level swimmers that were competing in swimming. I didn't want to compete in swimming. I just wanted the fitness. So I thought, okay, if I'm doing 3 or 4 1-hour swimming sessions, that should build my endurance for the bike. I tried RPM spin classes, push-ups and sit-ups at home, high reps with low weight with squats and arm exercises using a barbell. I did CrossFit. I did running as part of the school cross country. I tried like energy bars and hydration drinks. millions of different ways of eating, okay? And it's harder these days. You've got carnivore diet, keto diet, plant-based, high carb, low carb, everything you can think of has been created. So it does get quite confusing. Excuse me. I used to tell myself just to train harder. That was a lot of the methodology, was just train harder, push yourself harder, try and do more. And then also the last bit here is, I guess there was part of me in the back of my mind, I'd probably never say this out loud, but I was like, well, there's other riders out there that do more riding than me. I only used to ride once a week. So there was always part of me that was like, okay, well, maybe I can't get race fit because these other guys are doing more riding than I am. And a lot of people would say, oh, the only best way to build bike fitness is by riding the bike. So there was probably a little bit of that as well. And after all of that effort, still not race fit, still not able to do a full race at race speed. So that comes to the new way. The fast lap system. You can train 3 times per week for 45 minutes. So a lot less training than what I was trying to do before. You can build bike cardio in 15 minutes of training. And that sounds crazy to say when you're doing a 4-hour race. How can you train for 15 minutes to be good at 4 hours? But that's what I'm going to get to when I go through the system. You only need to ride once per week with the faster lap system. Okay, which means if you can't get on the bike every day, which most people can't if you're not a factory guy, then that's going to fit in well. You can build strength and endurance for the bike without doing hundreds of reps of every exercise trying to build endurance. You can eat foods that fuel your body, not just fill you up, which can help to give you more energy, help you to recover faster between rides and races. You can get lean while still eating out and enjoying yourself. Okay, one of the hardest things with being a racer is you do a lot of travel. You're on the go. It's not always easy to get the right food in. So with this system, you can still eat on the go and fuel yourself properly for racing. You can use this system for FIFO workers and riders with big families. If you've got Bain Marie food, great, you can use this system. If you have a big family, we've had riders that have had up to 4 kids, right? Decent sized family, still be able to make it happen. And then more importantly, which is the most important thing of all, is it actually gets you race fit so you can kick ass on the bike and enjoy your riding, okay? Because even though I was doing all of this stuff, looks like a lot of stuff, which it is, I still wasn't race fit, okay? So the great thing about the fast lap system is it actually helps you to be able to perform better on the bike. Now these are just some feedback that we've had from racers. I've probably gone a little bit overboard with how many I've put on there, which is why the riding's a bit small, but you can see here, so like this rider here said, is done 7 lap races here, an hour and 46 lap. Before the training, I'd be absolutely gassed with heart rate through the roof, 4 laps in. On Sunday, I pushed as hard as I could, chasing a guy down after a shit start and felt awesome for the whole race. Did 3 races all up and fitness didn't hold me back at all. So obviously, I'm assuming, so maybe a minute and 46, that's a motocross guy. Here, really happy with my riding this weekend. Did 4 laps of a 55k trail ride, okay, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So what's that? 5 hours of riding. Usually I can only do 2 laps and I'm cactus in the same amount of time. I've never ridden as fast and as long as long before as he has there, getting ready for Hadar. Another one here with, I might have to change my goals. I wanted to be able to punch out 10 laps at race pace on my local track. Now he's looking at setting his goal to 20 laps. So I'm not going to go through all of them. If you want to have a look, pause the video and have a read through. Probably going a bit overboard again. These are just some of the screenshots from riders we've worked with that have worked on losing weight and getting leaner. Again, I'm not going to go through them all. It's just to show you that this shit actually works. It's actually being used with real world riders. It's not just some theory that's been copy and pasted out of a textbook. So, the faster laps system. Okay, there's 3 pillars of the faster lap system. There's rider strength, there's rider cardio, and there's rider nutrition. These 3 things have to be nailed correctly for the faster lap system to be able to work, which is what I'm going to go through with you now. So first of all is rider strength. So how to be so strong on the bike it feels like a 50cc without getting arm pump or too bulky for the bike. So quick story for this one. When in 2010, I trained at a gym called Raw Edge Fitness. And I remember it was like group training. And we did this group workout where we had about 3Ks of running and there was literally hundreds of reps of push-ups, squats, pull-ups. Okay, so pull-ups, squats, push-ups. Hundreds of reps that we had that were mapped out for this particular workout. And so what I was doing is scoping out in the class, like who I was going to beat, who I was not going to beat. I used to do that at racing as well. I'd go through the program and pull up the rider list and see roughly where I should be finishing up based on the other guys that I knew. But anyway, so I was mapping out this workout, and there was one guy there, his name was G, and he was a lot bigger than me. He was a bigger, more muscly guy, okay? So quite lean, but muscly. And so I remember seeing him there and I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm obviously going to beat him in this workout because I was 6'2", 68 kilos. I'm lighter, I'm skinnier. I'm like, my endurance is going to be a lot better. So I didn't even really think about him, and I was more trying to work out the other guys and where I was going to finish up. So anyway, we got through this workout. It took me over an hour to get through this workout of hundreds of body weight reps of exercises and the run. Crazy workout, right? Now, the crazy thing is this guy G, that was the muscly guy that was bigger than me. He did this same workout with the same amount of reps in 40 minutes. 40 minutes, right? So more than 20 minutes quicker. Now, my mind could not wrap its head around that because my whole life of riding and racing, I'd always been told, don't lift heavy weights, don't get big, don't get muscly because it's going to affect your endurance. You're going to slow down. You're not going to be able to move well. You're not going to be as fit. You want to be as light as possible. You want to be as lean as possible on the bike. This had just blown all of that kind of out the window for this particular workout. I was like, shit, like this guy's really muscly and he just hosed me in this workout. So I remember thinking in my mind, I was like, all right, I've got to do more endurance work and get better. My endurance isn't as good as what I thought it was. And so G comes up to me after and we were chatting and I said, yeah, I just got to improve my endurance, get better with my endurance. He goes, no. He goes, you need to get stronger. And I was like, what? Like kind of look at it. My mind's kind of thinking like, why do I need to get stronger? I was like, what's getting stronger and lifting heavy weights got to do with me smashing through these body weight exercises and building endurance? And he goes, think about, say, the squats. He goes, how much do you squat? And I was probably squatting, say, 70 kilos at the time. He goes, if you could double your squat, if you could get twice as strong and squat, say, 140 kilos, how would those body weight squats feel? I was like, shit, well, if I could squat 140, I was like, body weight squats would feel like really easy. So, okay. He's like, what about the push-ups? He's like, if you're how much do you bench press? I said about 50 kilos. So bench pressing and push-ups, similar movement, right? He goes, all right, well, what if you doubled your bench press and you got your bench press up to 100 kilos? He goes, how would those push-ups feel? I was like, well, that would feel really light, really easy. It'd be smashing through. He goes, cool. He goes, you've got to get stronger. So I was like, all right, that makes sense. The reason he was able to smash through all of those reps and get through all of those bodyweight exercises so much faster than I was is because he was so much stronger than I was. He probably was twice as strong as me. So he was able to smash through those reps a lot easier and a lot faster because they didn't take as much energy from him. They took a lot more energy from me because I wasn't as strong. So that led me to having this next breakthrough then with riding. Is I was like, shit, well, this whole time I've been trying to get lighter, trying to do more cardio, trying to do more swimming, more cycling, more running, cardio, endurance. And I'm riding a bike that's 100 kilos. My bike's 100 kilos. I was 68 kilos at the time. So if I added those two together, that's 168 kilos. I had to wrestle around 168 kilos for 15, 20 minutes at a time on the motocross track, 2 hour plus out on an enduro, right? There's no amount of cycling or swimming or running I could have done that would have got me stronger to make that 100 kilo bike feel lighter. So that's when I changed the way I thought about my training. Is now I was looking at my training going, okay, what are the exercises I have to do to try and get as strong as possible out on the bike? And so that's when I started doing more back squats, deadlifts, bent over rows, overhead presses to be able to help me to build that strength. And exactly like G said, the bike started to feel lighter. I used less energy on the bike. Okay, I was able to put the bike where I wanted to put it on the track rather than the bike putting me where it wanted to go. So I was able to ride harder for longer periods of time and muscle the bike around like I wanted to. So for you, that was a bit of a fork in the road for me, and you're probably at a similar fork in the road. There's certain things that you're doing in your training at the moment, and some of it's working, and some of it's just a waste of time, or it's not as effective as what it needs to be. So you can keep doing the same training that you've been doing, keep going down that same road, but understand that the results that you get from that are probably not going to be too much different. I stuck with club swimming for 5 years. I've got no idea why. I just thought if I just kept doing it and kept chipping away, eventually I'd get race fit. It didn't happen, right? I needed to change a lot earlier. So the other option is you recognize that, hey, like the stuff you're not doing is not the right stuff. It's not getting the result. You've got to look at things a different way. And that's where you've got to go down another path and go, all right, cool. Am I actually doing stuff in my training that's going to get me strong enough to wrestle around a 100 kilo bike? And if the answer is no, then something's got to be able to change. Perfect example of this is one of our riders, Toby, who's a junior racer. He races 85s and he's in that transition of getting up to the 125. He was just going to focus on the 85 for the season, for the state rounds, and then ride the 125 as a bit of extra track time. Obviously, there's a big difference in the strength of say a 13 or 14-year-old and a 15 or 16-year-old, okay, because they're going through the changes of life at that point. He ended up winning both classes, okay. He wasn't going to focus on the 125 because he was still on the younger side. Ended up winning both classes, and they credit it, and I didn't credit it to the strength, they credit it to the strength, Toby and his dad, to getting stronger and having the strength to be able to wrestle the bigger bike around with the extra power. So if you're an adult, you're over 20 plus, then there's only benefits to be gained from getting stronger and making the bike feel lighter. The second pillar is rider cardio. Okay, so how to have lungs so powerful sitting down for a few seconds on the bike while you're racing feels like a 30-minute rest in the pits. So imagine that. Imagine being out on the track and just sitting down around a corner, and that's enough time for you to be able to recharge and recover and then get ready for the next section. Imagine that with a rock garden, being able to just take a quick breather for a few seconds, get your breath back, and then be able to go hard again. Imagine that being enough recovery for you to perform at your best. So just got a couple of quick notes here of things to cover for this second pillar. So I always thought, we're running a bit short on time, so I'm going to smash through. I always thought riding and racing was an endurance sport. Okay, I thought motocross was an endurance sport, 15 plus minute motos. I always thought enduro was an endurance sport, 2, 3, 4 hour plus rides. Okay, I was wrong. I was very wrong. The reason I was wrong is when I'd go and race, let's say at a motocross track, there was this part at Wanneroo where there was this big straight down the middle, and then there was this bowl corner at the end. Okay, down that straight in the middle, especially when we got further through the day, it was rough. I was really fighting the bike, really having to wrestle the bike around because it was a really fast section that was really rough. Then when I got to the bowl corner though, the fastest way to get around it most of the time was around the outside. You could sit down, put your foot out, and away you go. And you get a bit of a rest. Same with this other part of the track. There was all these really chopped out braking bumps, which required a lot of physical effort. But once you got past them, there was this little drop off or like mound that you could sit down over. You got a little bit of air off it, and it was a bit of a rest, a bit of a break before the next section. So from each section of the track, I was going from working really, really hard, body's exerting itself a lot, bit of a rest. Body's working really hard, exerting a lot, bit of a rest. Same for enduro, right? Like you might go through a rock garden. The rock garden takes a lot of physical effort. Once you get past that, you got some single trail, you get a bit of a rest. Then you get to the hill climb, the next part, and then it's a lot of physical effort. It's all what the intensity, the effort from your body is always up, down, up, down, up, down. It's not like running a marathon where you're just doing like 4 hours of jogging along or 20 minutes of jogging along. You've got parts of the track that require a lot of physical effort and a lot more effort than other parts of the track. So you have to train like that. So what I was doing is I was doing the opposite. I was training my body to work at a consistent speed when what was happening at a consistent effort, and what was happening on the track is the effort was going like this. And that's why all of the swimming and all of the cycling that I did and all the running, all the bodyweight stuff, all that stuff didn't cross over and help me as much as what it should on the bike because I was asking two different things of my body. I'm training my body one way and expecting it to do something completely different on the weekend. So what I should have done, instead of getting on the cycling bike for 45 minutes, I should have been doing intervals. Okay, this is where I discovered high intensity interval training. I could have got on the exercise bike a minute on, a minute off for 5 to 10 rounds. Okay, and that would have got my body really, really good at going very hard for very short periods of time, recovering quickly, and then being able to go hard again. And that's exactly what we do with our races now, which is why they can do such small amounts of cardio, because we're focusing on the intensity and the effort. We're not focusing on just trying to go for a very long period of time like an Ironman athlete. So again, another fork in the road, right? It's like you can keep doing the same stuff that you're doing, keep doing the exercise that you're doing, keep doing the group classes like I was, but if it's not getting you the results on the bike, if you're not seeing the improvement with your riding and racing, then you're not doing the right stuff. Okay, so you've got a choice to make. You either keep doing the stuff that you're doing at the moment and understand that you're going to keep getting the same results, or you change things up and you do stuff that's actually going to help you on the bike, like implementing the high intensity intervals that we just spoke about. A good example of this is one of our riders, Adam. So we got him ready for Finke Desert Race, and he said he picked up more spots in that last hour on day 2 than what he picked up the whole event. He said he went past so many guys in that last half hour to an hour on day 2 at Finke. And the reason is not because he got quicker, it's because everyone else got slower, right? Everyone else was not preparing correct, or was not prepared correctly. Their body was not ready to go. So he was able to pick up a lot of spots on day 2 where everyone else was slowing up. So if you want to be able to do that too, then you've got to make sure, again, you've got to make sure you're doing the right stuff with your preparation going into race day. The next one, rider nutrition. So again, I'll speed through this one as well. When I was getting towards the end of riding and racing, I started to get involved with fitness competitions. And so took that quite seriously for about 5 years. And so one of the things I struggled with is when I would get to competition day, and even when I'd get to race day on the bike, is I didn't always feel my best. Like some days I'd rock up and be like, shit, like I actually felt better on practice day than I feel today. It was just like a weird energy thing where like I didn't feel like eating food and I didn't eat much stuff, and then I get to the end of the day and feel a bit flat, and I was kind of a bit over it even just being there, you know? It's like a weird feeling. And sometimes I get it and sometimes I wouldn't. So I went into this nutrition seminar with a performance nutritionist. Her name was Claire. And she said one thing that really stood out. She said, Andrew, carbohydrates are your main fuel source for high intensity activity. For the fitness competitions, for your riding and racing. Carbs are your primary fuel source. So I was like, oh, okay. So she helped to lay out this system that we use that was then able to adapt to be able to use with use with my own riding, and then eventually be able to use with our races. So you want to top up your carbohydrate tank 24 hours before the race. So sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, they're the foods you want to maximize 24 hours before the race. So from 4 hours before the race and 24 hours before that, that's what you want to get in. They're going to fill up your carb tank. Once you've done that, you then want to top up your simple carbs. So half an hour before the race, and for every hour of the race, you want to get 30 to 50 grams of carbs. You can either have a bottle of Powerade or a couple of carb gels to be able to make that happen. And that's going to make sure that you've got energy that can actually allow you to be able to ride all day. So exactly like it says here, how to dial in your nutrition so you've got energy to ride all day without force feeding yourself food on race day. You don't have to use food on race day. Use supplements, use liquids, so you don't have to digest food, but still get the nutrients that you need. And then lastly, so that's the 3-step fast lap system. If you'd like some help putting the Race Fit system into action, either DM me on Facebook or Instagram with the word Race Fit, and I'll send you the details. If you're not after any help, hopefully you found this training helpful.